Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, The Knowledge Library. Today we are here to discuss some of the important MCQs from class 12th English chapter, The Lost Spring. So let us begin with the summary of this chapter. Lost Spring is a portrayal of how poverty affects childhood. The writer Anis Jung has focused on children living in slums under inhuman conditions that affect not only their childhood but also their future as adults. This leads to further deterioration of their subsequent generations. The chapter talks about two boys, Sahib and Mukesh, who dream about becoming something better in life or achieving basic human rights like education. But the writer also shows how this society around them is full of forces that one try to preserve and prolong their present conditions. So now let us begin with the questions. So let us begin. Our first question is, who is the author of Lost Spring? Option A, Ruskin Bond. Option B, R.K. Narayan. Option C, Anis Jung. Option D, Khushwant Singh. The correct answer is option C, Anis Jung. Moving on to the next question. What does the title Lost Spring signify? Option A, the beauty of the season. Option B, the lost childhood of poor children. Option C, the coming of age. And option D, a famous festival. The correct answer is option B, lost childhood of poor children. Moving on to the next question. What are the children in this story deprived of? Option A, education. Option B, childhood. Option C, basic needs. And option D, all of the above. The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Moving on to the next question. Who is Sahib? Option A, a school teacher. Option B, a rag picker boy. Option C, a bangle maker. And option D, a driver. The correct answer is option B, a rag picker boy. Moving on to the next question. Why did Sahib's family come to the city? Option A, to find gold. Option B, to escape poverty and floods. Option C, to find better education. And option D, to meet relatives. The correct answer is option B, to escape poverty and floods. Moving on to the next question. Where is Sahib originally from? Option A, Delhi. Option B, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Option C, Mumbai. And option D, Hyderabad. The correct answer will be option B, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what work does Sahib do? Option A, he goes to school. Option B, he works as a rag picker. Option C, he sells newspapers. Option D, he works in a factory. The correct answer will be option B, he works as a rag picker. Moving on to the next question. What does Sahib dream of? Option A, becoming a teacher. Option B, going to school. Option C, starting his own business. Option D, owning a car. The correct answer is option B, going to school. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what does garbage represent to the children? Option A means of survival. Option B, a treasure hunt. Option C, both A and B. And option D, a waste of time. The correct answer will be option C, both A and B. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what is the name of the second boy in the story? Option A, Raj. Option B, Mukesh. Option C, Sahib. And option D, Anand. The correct answer will be option B, Mukesh. Moving on to the next question. What is Mukesh's ambition? Option A, to become a pilot. Option B, to be a doctor. Option C, to drive a car. And option D, to be a rag picker. The correct answer is option C, to drive a car. Moving on to the next question. Where does Mukesh's family live? Option A, in a slum. Option B, in the city center. Option C, near the Bengal factories of Firozabad. And option D, in a luxurious house. The correct answer is option C, near the Bengal factories of Firozabad. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what occupation has Mukesh's family been traditionally engaged in? Option A, farming. Option B, weaving bangles. Option C, teaching. Option D, cleaning streets. And the correct answer will be option B, weaving bangles. Moving on to the next question. What is the author's attitude towards the children in the Lost Spring? Option A, indifferent. Option B, sympathy and empathy. Option C, disgust. And option D, amusement. The correct answer is option B, sympathy and empathy. Moving on to the next question. The next question is like this. Why is it difficult for Mukesh to fulfill his dream of becoming a motor mechanic? Option A, his family is very poor. Option B, he has no access to education. Option C, the society expects him to follow the family tradition. And option D, all of the above. The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what does Mukesh family believe in? Option A, education for all. Option B, following family tradition. Option C, women empowerment. Option D, child labor laws. The correct answer will be option B, following family tradition. Moving on to the next question. What is the plight of Bengal workers in Firozabad? Option A, they work in inhuman condition. Option B, they suffer from poor health. Option C, they live in poverty. And option D, all of the above. The correct answer will be option D, all of the above. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, why do many children in Firozabad end up working in the glass industry? Option A, they want to support their families. Option B, it is a family tradition. Option C, they have no access to education. and option D, all of the above. The correct answer will be option D, all of the above. Moving on to the next question. What prevents the Bengal makers from organizing themselves into cooperatives? Option A, lack of unity. Option B, fear of the police. Option C, exploitation by the middlemen. And option D, all of the above. The correct answer will be option D, all of the above. Moving on to the next question. What kind of education do the children in the Lost Spring receive? Option A, free and quality education. Option B, technical education. Option C, no education at all. And option D, partial education. The correct answer is option C, no education at all. Moving on to the next question. What happens to Sahib when he starts working at a tea stall? Option A, he is happy. Option B, he feels a sense of loss. Option C, he earns a lot of money. And option D, he becomes a manager. The correct answer is option B, he feels a sense of loss. Moving on to the next question. What does Sahib lose after working at the tea stall? Option A, his freedom. Option B, his school bag. Option C, his innocence. Option D, his friends. The correct answer is option A, his freedom. Moving on to the next question. How much does Sahib earn at the tea stall? Option A, 800 rupees. Option B, 500 rupees. Option C, 600 rupees. And option D, 700 rupees. The correct answer is option C, 600 rupees. Moving on to the next question. The next question is somewhat like this. What is the irony of Sahib's name? Option A, his name means master, but he is a servant. Option B, he is not really a Sahib. Option C, he owns nothing. And option D, all of the above. The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Moving on to the next question. The next question is somewhat like this. What does the author suggest about the socio-economic system through the story of Mukesh? Option A, it empowers the poor. Option B, it encourages inequality. Option C, it supports education. And option D, it provides opportunities. The correct answer is option B, it encourages inequality. Moving on to the next question. What does the glass blowing industry symbolize in this story? Option A, beauty and creativity. Option B, child labor and exploitation. Option C, freedom and independence. Option D, education and prosperity. The correct answer is option B, child labor and exploitation. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, why do children like Mukesh continue working in the Bengal industry? Option A, tradition. Option B, poverty. Option C, lack of alternatives. And option D, all of the above. The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Now moving on to the next question. The next question is, what is the main theme of the Lost Spring? Option A, love and family. Loss of childhood and exploitation of children. Option C, nature and seasons. Option D, political corruption. The correct answer is option B, loss of childhood and exploitation of the children. Now let us move on to the next question. What is the social issue addressed in this story? Option A, gender equality. Option B, child labor. Option C, pollution. Option D, migration. The correct answer is option B, child labor. Moving on to the next question. How is the theme of poverty portrayed in this story? Option A, through the lavish lifestyle of the rich. Option B, through the lives of the children and their families. Option C, through the development of industries. And option D, through the government policies. The correct answer will be option B, through the lives of children and their families. Moving on to the next question. What role does middleman play in the Bengal industry? Option A, they provide loans to the workers. Option B, they exploit the workers by keeping their profits. Option C, they support workers' rights. Option D, they act as mentors. The correct answer is option B, they exploit the workers by keeping their profits. Moving on to the next question. How do societal norms affect Mukesh and Sahib's lives? Option A, they provide guidance and support. Option B, they prevent them from breaking free for poverty. Option C, they know them to achieve their dreams. The correct answer is option B, they prevent them from. What is Anis Jung tone in the Lost Spring? Option A, sarcastic. Option B, optimistic. Option C, compassionate. And option D, indifferent. The correct answer is option C, compassionate. Moving on to the next question. What emotion does Mukesh feel about the dream of becoming a car mechanic? Option A, doubt. Option B, fear. Option C, hope. Option D, despair. The correct answer is option C, hope. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what is the significance of education in the story? Option A, it is easily accessible. Option B, it is the key to escape poverty. Option C, it is irrelevant to the character's life. And option D, it is not needed in the Bengal industry. Correct answer is option B, it is the key to escape poverty. Moving on to the next question. How does the author view the lives of the poor children in this story? Option A, with envy. Option B, with detachment. Option C, with empathy and concern. Option D, with ridicule. The correct answer will be option C, with empathy and concern. Moving on to the next question. What drives Sahib's family to Delhi? Option A, adventure. Option B, economic necessity. Option C, political unrest. And option D, the pursuit of education. The correct answer is option B, economic necessity. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what is one of the reasons Mukesh's family is trapped in the Bengal industry? Option A, they are too old to learn new skills. Option B, they are unaware of their rights. Option C, they prefer this work. Option D, they are content with their earnings. The correct answer will be option B, they are unaware of their rights. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, why is the Bengal industry of Firozabad significant? Option A, it employs only adults. Option B, it symbolizes tradition and exploitation. Option C, it is a source of pride for the community. Option D, it is completely automated. The correct answer is option B, it symbolizes the tradition and exploitation. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, how does the government's attitude towards child labor appear in the story? Option A, supportive. Option B, indifferent. Option C, actively intervening. Option D, protective of children. The correct answer is option B, indifferent. Moving on to the next question. What does the rag pickers colony represent? Option A, prosperity. Option B, joy and contentment. Option C, poverty and degradation. Option D, a cultural hotspot. The correct answer is option C, poverty and degradation. Moving on to the next question. How does Sahib's life change after getting a job at the tea stall? Option A, he earns more but he loses his freedom. Option B, he becomes rich. Option C, he continues his education. Option D, he is happier than before. The correct answer is option A, he earns more but loses his freedom. Moving on to the next question. What does Mukesh's determination to drive a car symbolize? Option A, a desire for freedom and a better life. Option B, a wish to escape tradition. Option C, an interest in mechanics. And option D, a love for cars. The correct answer is option A, the desire for freedom and a better life. Moving on to the next question. What is the role of education in breaking the cycle of poverty as suggested in the story? Option A, it is irrelevant. Option B, it provides an escape. Option C, it perpetuates the cycle. Option D, it is not available to the poor. The correct answer will be option B, it provides an escape. Moving on to the next question. The next question is, what do middlemen exploit in this story? Option A, lack of education among workers. Option B, the government's policies. Option C, the natural resources. Option D, the religious sentiments of people. The correct answer will be option A, the lack of education among the workers. Moving on to the next question. Why does Mukesh reject his family's traditional occupation? Option A, he wants to break free from the cycle of poverty. Option B, he finds it boring. Option C, he dislikes working with glass. And option D, he prefers manual labor. The correct answer is option A, he wants to break free from the cycle of poverty. Moving on to the next question. How does the story address the issue of exploitation of children? Option A, by celebrating their reliance. Option B, by exposing the harsh realities of child labor. Option C, by showing the success of social reforms. Option D, by highlighting government intervention. The correct answer is option B, by exposing the harsh realities of child labor. Moving on to the next question. Why is Sahib's new job at the tea stall ironic? Option A, he earns less than before. Option B, his name means Lord, but he now works for a master. Option C, he is now in school. Option C, he owns the tea stall. The correct answer is option B, his name means Lord, but he now works for a master. Moving on to the next question. What is a major consequence of child labor as portrayed in the story? Option A, economic growth. Option B, physical and mental deterioration. Option C, wealth accumulation. And option D, increased educational opportunities. The correct answer is option B, physical and mental deterioration. Moving on to the next question. How does the story end for Mukesh? Option A, he gives up his dream. Option B, he remains hopeful for a better future. Option C, he follows his family tradition. And option D, he becomes a bangle maker. The correct answer will be option B, he remains hopeful for a better future. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, The Knowledge Library.